Hi everyone, Duncan Knight. I work at Vodafone in the UK. I work in the consumer division, and I look after most parts of digital, not all. I don't actually look after the service side, so anything that's revenue generating or drives a commercial return is me. So hence we've been working with Tom and the gang for a long while. So yeah, that's my part that I play in this.
And I did a little bit of research.
Oh dear.
I went Oprah on it. I think that's what you do. So you started in on the shop floor, right?
Indeed.
In Phones for You,
Indeed.
which I didn't know.
I can't do the hand
Can you
thing
do it?
anymore. Not anymore.
Oh, that was my that was my
gone.
first question. I've been practicing today.
Indeed.
And so you went from retail and then into EE, store
Orange.
manager. Oh, was it Orange? Oh
Orange.
yeah, of course, the brown set. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've done a couple of mergers. Maybe that's why Max asked me to come to Vodafone. He knew what was happening.
Yeah. But telco for the whole stretch.
20 odd years of telco. Yeah.
And so Vodafone has always been, I think it's fair to say, a brand that's been pushing and been positioning itself as a leader in the AI agent space. There was the big IBM Watson partnership with Toby.
Correct.
Did anyone use Toby in its first iteration? Yeah. Oh my God, so few. They just don't want to put their hands up. But it was positioned, particularly by IBM, as a real hero project. And now Super Toby, which
Indeed.
is the loser, and Voxy obviously with Accenture. So is it a cultural decision that's been made that says Vodafone needs to lead this race? Doesn't matter if we have some fails and stuff, but it's important to be first, or is it just like organically happened?
Yeah, I think there's a legacy that Toby's created, and I think now that Vodafone, I'd say, although it's 40 years old, and we are a challenger in the UK, we definitely have like a heritage of innovation, right? So, and I think so. It's in our fabric. So I think what it creates is quite a responsive culture to emerging new technologies. Everyone gets excited by it, right?
Yeah.
I think we've got plenty of people that work at Vodafone who will read you all the risks, but you've equal amount of people whose voice is allowed to be responsive to adopting stuff and trying stuff as well. So I think, and especially at the moment in the UK, we've got a really receptive board to this type of thing. So when you have that kind of environment, you should double down on it, right? And you should use the opportunity to try new stuff.
Yeah.
Because you know that people will support you rather than block you, definitely.
And has there been at a sort of Vodafone level? Let's take sort of Toby with IBM, and then Voxy, which is the sort of new one with Voxy chatbot. Is the perception in Vodafone that they've been successful?
I think Vodafone are certainly very proud of Toby. I think the fact that it's multi-market as well, right? So we are Margarita, our new CEO, has very much put the responsibility back in the market's hands to say you control your own destiny. But I think there's still certain elements of group that we adopt and we maintain, and Toby's certainly one of those. So I think that there's a lot of support around around Toby to improve it and maintain it. So, and I think we see the benefits of it, right? So as the market, we use it, and it's certainly central to the strategy. Voxy chatbot's interesting. I think the PR line on that one is world first. Voxy chatbot. It was certainly a foray into Gen AI, right? So it was, and this was one of our values of experiment, learn fast, and this was definitely a play for let's get something out into the market and learn from it, and that's what we did, right? And I think it's an interesting conversation that we've been having earlier. You definitely walk a tightrope. I think that's the analogy, right? is you walk a real tightrope between allowing the model to respond and not locking it down so much that it doesn't respond.
Yeah.
And I think that we were probably certainly on the wrong side of it.
Which
a lot
side?
of the time. We were on the side of locking it down too much.
Oh,
So
right.
the Voxy chatbot just wasn't returning responses, right? It just couldn't answer the
What,
question.
because the guard anything considered to be a guardrail locked?
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
that.
and that's interesting because
Yeah.
you'd think that the bigger, for a brand like Vodafone, obviously the bigger problem is a DHL moment or whatever. But actually, it's been seen as it went too far and it was too restrictive.
Exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. So I think, and obviously that's always going to be the way. We probably take a more risk averse. We turn the tap to a drip and then slowly release, right?
Yeah.
So I think what we've learned though, the really critical lesson is how hard it is, right, to build and maintain a large language model, right?
Yeah.
It's incredibly intensive, and is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
And I think still, and we talked about the CFO. I think the jury's definitely out. It's been a wonderful PR play for us, obviously, but in terms of a useful thing, ...
And the use case for Voxy was it definitely catered for sales, didn't it? It did handle sales journeys. Was that the primary use case?
The use case for Voxy was the Voxy demographic. So
Which is
youth
younger,
brand,
yeah.
youth brand, and we thought that adoption of the technology for that particular demographic they would be really receptive to it, and they'd be quite forgiving of it if it wasn't particularly useful. So it wasn't going to damage big red Vodafone,
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it did, right? That's exactly what it did. We still won 3 awards last week at Uswitch for being Voxy best network provider. So it's certainly not damaging reputation in any way.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure it's the most useful, Gen AI tool out there.
But it's still live.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. And there's no plan to, go the other way. I think the plan is to double down and to make it work, right?
Right. Okay. And then in terms of how Vodafone think about, so we've worked together for, I think it's 6 years. Is it 6 years? I think it's something like that. So you've always clearly supported like emerging technology, smaller vendors, but at the same time, Vodafone has these hero. Microsoft is a new 10-year one. Yeah. IBM, obviously. Yeah. How as someone who runs digital, how do you navigate that massive politics that must come with those deals to only use that stuff?
Yeah.
But actually wanting to move fast and support emerging tech and support emerging vendors and stuff.
Yeah. Two things really. I mean, you're right. It's attractive because they provide some shelter, right?
Yeah.
Power of the brand. But the product's got to be a good product at the end of the day, and we talked a lot about, certainly from a sales. I'm only interested in sales, right? I'm interested in what's going to generate more for me. The cost out, is a different department, not mine. So I've not seen anything from the big brands, and we've seen them all. We spoke to all of them. I've not seen anything from the big brands yet that isn't just a fancy filter.
Yeah.
And it's not really attractive to me, Back from the days where I was literally selling phones to people, like I know what it takes, right? And it's not just letting them filter down and filter down and filter down. You've got to be able to handle objections. You've got to be able to understand the psychology of a person.
Yeah.
And that's really difficult.
And have you seen it anywhere? So you must have your eyes out constantly, right? So within sales, and we do too. Have you, as a phone's for you man, I don't know why I keep bringing it up, but you're at heart, you're a salesperson.
Indeed.
So have you ever seen an experience through AI anywhere that you thought got some way towards human-like sales and really made you think, wow, this is...
Yeah, certainly I think the guys were talking earlier about like large e-commerce brands, and I think I'm a big advocate of multimodal. I actually think it helps. I don't know if a blank canvas when you're making a sales transaction is the most useful starting point. So, so I think there are models out there in the market right now that guide you. But the critical thing, right, is when you're unsure, or if you're on the fence and you might want to leave and then go somewhere else.
Yeah.
How does it close?
Yeah.
And I've not seen anything that's doing that.
Yeah.
I've not seen anything.
So you've seen things more focused on the filter, discovery, find a product, recommendation, basically.
Yeah.
But the art of close.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not. I've not. Certainly, I've not experienced it. But again, I think there are levels of sophistication, right? I think, talk about fancy filter, and I think multimodal goes beyond that. And I think you can have a level of sophistication around recommending something intelligently.
Yeah.
And Daniel was talking about contextual journeys and being personalised. And there's evidence out there in the market of that right now, and we're working on some of that stuff too. But yeah, the closing, the objection handling, that level of intelligence is, I don't think it's out there.
Yeah, and the way we're trying to tackle that is just to get the really good humans involved and seeing how they do it, and then mirroring their close techniques and their objection handling techniques. Yeah. So we're going to be launching Humara on Vodafone this year. I love how I've given it such a big range of time estimate soon this year.
Not the 31st of December.
Not the 31st of December. But fundamentally, what we're going to be launching is this AI sales agent that mirrors sales process, but is non-deterministic.
Yeah.
So right now, how we work with Vodafone is it's obviously very brand policed.
Yes.
So all the questions that we put to customers through guided selling is vetted and communicated. Do you think culturally that's going to be sort of waved through, as in like, don't stand down normal QA, stand down normal brand crew, this is the new era, or is it actually going to be really tense?
I hope not.
You know what I mean?
My blood pressure can't take it. No, adapt is. I think that's the key word, right? It's got to be somewhere in between that range. You know, it's got to be. And look, we've got all the infrastructure. We've got teams of QA experts at the moment who are testing on the way that we've always done things. They're just as excited, engaged in the Gen AI conversation as everybody else. They've already got pretty mature ideas on how to test this stuff. So we've got the right people there to adapt their methods and their techniques to deal with this stuff. So I'm not particularly worried. The other thing as well, you're right that and Vodafone are incredibly precious about their brand, rightly so. But brand are on the revolution. They're on the bus. If we want to personalize and we want to contextualize, the brand guys need to use Gen AI to proliferate. I can't even see the word.
Proliferate.
Thank you. Yes, need more beer. They need that to for their creative, right? So we're all on it in the bus together. Yeah. And so we've kind of got to figure it out, I think. So I don't think there is a stone wall, attitude to it. I think we're a receptive environment.
And the last point on this. So when Max, the Max is not CEO, he's CEO.
CEO.
So when Max looks at it and has an opinion, why did it say that? The thing comes down the chain. Duncan, Max has sent this screenshot. Why did it say that in that way? How are you going to sort of, and how should other brands think about handling someone in your role who wants to bring it in and knows all the opinions up? Yeah. And you're not going to be able to go and change it because it's non-deterministic.
No, indeed.
Is that a load of pre-work you do to set the expectation, or are you just going to kind of face into it as it comes?
Pre-work.
That's a
pre-work. Yeah.
That's a good strategy.
No. You've got to warm Max up. But and that by the way, that will happen. Like it will definitely happen. That scenario exactly probably on a Saturday, probably when I'm out doing something and he's spending time on the internet, which we all hate him doing. But these things happen today, right? Like for different scenarios. Yeah. So it's just another thing to manage damage limitation with Max on. He's a smart guy. He understands that we need to innovate and we need to pioneer in this space, because and he's made a career on it, right? That if we're not doing these things first, then we're watching one of our competitors do it first, and that will be his overriding feeling, that he will not want to let one of the other guys have an experience that's providing an answer that he's not particularly keen on.
Yeah.
But overall, the benefit, to Vodafone and to our customers is overriding, right?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty confident we can handle him. Yeah.
And I guess data is the other bit, right? When we prove the value quickly, that helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, look, I just want to open it. I'm going to finish. I know people want to drink and stuff, and I'm going to hand it over to you. Mark, straight in.
Quick question on the experience you just described.
Yes.
The idea of Max as a CEO walking into one of the retail stores and listening to see if the sales rep says the wrong thing, and then getting personally involved in one conversation. Do we need to back off a little bit? Is that the answer? Back up. You wouldn't go into this level of detail with a human agent.
Frighteningly, you would. Rob, our consumer director, goes into his local store far too often, and they know him now. No, it is frightening, the level of detail that senior management get into, and how hung up on individual examples they get. But it's a management problem. It's fine. We know we're doing the right thing, and overall it's value accretive, right? So you just got to manage the crazies, right? And that's part of our job,
Yeah.
That's a great quote.
I think that's my point. Thank you.
If you could put that on LinkedIn tomorrow, that would be excellent.
Along with a picture of my P45. Yeah, indeed.
It's a good question. And actually, we had a similar conversation when we first spoke about Humora around concerns. 'Cause I remember you saying straight away, "Oh God, this is going to take some. This is going to take some managing."
Yeah.
And we were like, "Well, you've got people out there selling in your stores, in your call centers, incredibly badly, and actually, you can't police all of that. This is incredibly policed. This one is policed beyond belief. You can see it. There's tracking all over it. There's visibility on it. You can see every transcript." So yeah, you have to bring on that journey. But in their defence, there's one person in a store in Basildon, why Basildon, who could do minimal damage if they were bad. Yes. Have a model live on Vodafone, PDP, and Gridwall. That's a much bigger sphere of influence. So I guess it's both, right?
Yeah, it's a balance, and I think the other example that I was quite surprised about was the DPD bot. It had been clearly goaded into saying the wrong thing, but the press and the headlines were all about, there's this terrible Gen AI thing. It's like, well, you wouldn't do that to a human.
Yeah.
Why is it okay for us to still be reporting those headlines when it's not that same context?
Well, everyone loves an AI fail,
That's
and they're out there looking for the TikTok hits, and they're out there looking for that, and so they will go. Yeah, that's the thing. You test on these nice normal scenarios of normal humans, and then you get those proper weirdos that go in and they're just trying to hack it, ready for the screen share, ready for the TikTok and the press. That's hard to. It's this tiny use case, but can cause quite a lot of significant harm. Yeah. But then what you do is we then try and restrict it. And then, as you say to the Voxy, you don't want to go too far with that, because then the end user is like, "What the hell is this thing? Yeah. It can't blooming naturally talk to me. It keeps saying I don't want to go there or whatever." So this is all the triangle of that everyone's finding their way. Was there any other questions for Duncan before we? Yeah.
Thank you. I read that you bought 70,000 Copilot licenses last year. Vodafone, not you personally. So there's a ton of AI stuff going on. I mean, how do you prioritize all the different AI tools that you've got around the business? Because there must be a big queue of things that you want to move forward on.
Yeah, absolutely right. There's so much competition for attention and funding in the business, and just coming back to the point. So I think these things do different tasks, right? So the co-pilot stuff is for productivity, right? It's for productivity. And again, you're looking for the guys were talking about the service use cases earlier, and it's a cost out model. It's really tangible. It's really easy to prove. So those things are quite easy, and they're really mature at Vodafone. This stuff is less tangible and a bit more speculative, right? So it just fits into a different swim lane. We have a different conversation about, right, how are we gonna I don't know who was talking about earlier, how are we gonna grow market share? How are we gonna grow ARPU? Yeah, those are certainly our KPIs still, and probably will be forevermore. And this goes in that box of conversation. So it's not competing with staff productivity or cost out through automation of CS. Like, it goes in another box of grow ARPU, grow market share. So it's actually just a different conversation.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll let one of them do it. Last question. So you're thinking obviously about the site and sales. What's your first of all, how far out?
And the app.
And the app, yeah.
Of course.
And the app. I think your target is 100% of Vodafone users use the app. Is that right?
I'm
sure you told me that stat.
That is a target that Max has set us. Yeah.
Are you rowing back? I thought you were about to row back. But that's a big stat.
Indeed. He loves a big stat.
Yeah. But as you think about, first of all, how far out are you planning? So with all this going on, as we talked about earlier, all this change, are you still planning in big year blocks and beyond, or have you brought it in?
We still long range plan. Obviously, the longer you go out, the less certain it is. Look, we're about to go into an incredibly uncertain period now. The CMA have cleared the merger with Three, and that's going to be a massive distraction. So I feel like we've done a good job when we had a clear runway, during this FY, of setting ourselves up for some success going forward. Because, and again, all the other telcos have been fairly distracted by their own merging activities. And we've certainly taken advantage of that. You see it in UK results. We've won in that market recently, but we're going to be those guys, in 6 months' time. And the other thing that's going to change is that we're on the offense at the moment, right? We're challenger in the UK. Whereas overnight we're going to go to being the incumbent, right? We're going to have the biggest base. So you change to being defense, and that completely changes the culture as well. So I think these types of things, like the types of things that we're doing together, getting them in now whilst we're still have a challenger mentality is critical. Yeah, is absolutely critical for our success. When we, remove our head from our backside after we've done all the merging stuff, and we say, actually, we've got some really good foundations here to protect our base with. Yeah.
And last question. How do you predict, so in 3 years' time, say, how will people buy from Vodafone? Talk of the equivalent journey now. They come to the website, they look at your products, they go through the cart, etc. All the stuff you've heard tonight about agents and everyone having their own agent. Realistically, as you plan, how do you think people will buy from Vodafone, O2, Sky, or whoever?
I'm not so convinced, that an agent's going to do it on my behalf. I think that, especially in telco, we all have a very similar strategy, right? More stuff, more for more, and you're just you're going to have to be better at targeting and segmenting, is my opinion. So without knowing you, we're going to guess who you are and what you might be interested in, and we're going to have to target you with something propositionally very different to you to me. Yeah. I think that's the only way. Otherwise, it's like duty free. We're going to walk you through and show you everything, and you're going to get sick of it. And then we're going to put you through the FCA credit checks and loan agreements, which you're going to, drop out at. So we can't do that. We've got to be a lot more intelligent with what we're presenting.
Yeah.
And I think conversational is a really interesting route to market to help us do that, right? Then you're not having to go through the duty free. You're saying to it, this is what's important to me.
Yeah.
What have you got for me?
Yeah.
And I'm absolutely sure in 5 years' time, we're all going to have the same thing. So you're going to have a good comparison between us all of what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Is one way to do it. But I'm not sure I'm going to be walking down the street asking my AI assistant to order me a new phone for it to turn up to my house by the time I get home after I've gone and bought a Mother's Day card. I don't see that quite yet, but maybe I'll be wrong. Yeah.
All right, look, thank you, Duncan. Very much.